What's this? More Johnny Arcade than usual? Shaka brah. More like shaka nah. Salutations, Searching for RInoa here with the 4th installment of RInoa Reviews Video Power. This is where things get really off the rails, and not in an entertainment way, because the first 5 episodes that were listed on RetroTunes, I was going to cover them, but it's the same first 5 episodes again for the animated stuff. There's new Johnny live action segments at the beginning and end, but what's sandwiched in is episodes I've already covered. Those 5 episodes do happen later, so I'll cover that. So now I'm forced to go from, it was going to be 16 to 21 episodes. There's one more after that that's also messy as well. So now I've had to go from 16 to 27. So yeah, double the... But yeah, new Johnny segments, more Johnny. Oh boy. More Johnny live action, and he's back on his cringe again, and oh boy. So RInoa, who wins the, Who has the power off winner for this today's review? Spoiler alert! Episode 16 was supposed to be the day Johnny stayed at school. I was thinking, detention? I didn't know at the time because, again, the episode they show was the first one in between new live actions, which he was previewing Boxel for the Game Boy with the... it's a New York construction worker inflation. Not inflation, inflection. Sorry. Inflation. Sorry. I'm trouble reading my notes. The other character he's arguing with, it comes up, there's like this... It's always this character with like, I guess it's like a brainiac, or with a pen in his ear. He's just like, oh, talk about the gameplay or the graphics. At first I thought it was this battered wife character he has. Is this the nonsense that Johnny deals with every day? Oh god, do all my RInoas inside me fight like this? Hey, you keep it down in there. Hey, no, I'm waiting for the Elgato too. Shut the fuck up. Also coming soon to Game Boy, Mercenary Force, a game that he says that has him back on his accent. Very oriental graphics. Episode 17, Train Game. Nope, Episode 2. Johnny live action, back to more cringy voiceovers with the Surfer Beach bum, as you see here. That sounds more gnarled than gnarly, to the point where I almost didn't catch what the game title that he was reviewing. I had to rewind to catch the name, because the first time I heard him, he was just, oh, broad, oh, yeah. King's the Beach, which I guess is Ultra Games, because he mentions the game has a guest appearance of Lester from Skate or Die. Doesn't show it, though, so... Again, seems knowledgeable. At least it was for last week, but I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't played the game myself. And Mike Ditka Football. I assume NES. He didn't say what system was for, but yeah, Mike Ditka Football. Duh, Bears. Episode 18, Video Virus. Nope, Episode 3. Live action Johnny brings the Lugosi back for the debut of the TurboGrafx 16 Classic Splatterhouse and dresses up in a pretty cool hat and coat deal for a preview of Mission Impossible for the NES. Episode 19, A Man in His Belt. Nope. Episode 4. So we get live action Johnny getting a letter from someone having these crazy dreams about a girl named Rosebud who is held by a disgusting individual named Blackhorn. Honestly, a neat way to introduce a great NES classic in a Styanax. Plus this new segment called News, he talks about the debut over in Japan of the Super Famicom, and to keep an eye on a new handheld system, the NEC Turbo Express. He says it's got color, and by snapping on another piece or attachment, it can become a color TV. I assume it has like an antenna or something like that. I still think back then there was like receptions and stuff like that. Now I guess it's all built in nowadays, so I don't know. Well, it's all internet now too. Plus an FAO Schwartz debuting an NES game, Solar Jetman. Episode 20, Slice and Dice? You guessed it, Episode 5. Live action Johnny with a Gizmo puppet, because it's a preview of Gremlins 2 for the NES. Tough game, great music. And then I get to episode 21. It's like 3 minutes long, and it just has Johnny previewing Legendary Axe 2, which is a TurboGrafx 16 conversion of an arcade game. 22 is cut off at the beginning, So Johnny's surrounded by these color stacks of blocks rising and rising all the time because it is indeed the 90s and it is time for clacks. I'm glad I got that to run around. I did not plan for that. I have not seen these in advance. That's probably why that's why you're getting all this stuff now. I'm like, oh no. Am I going to have a review? I'm going to have to. But then like the rest of the episodes are like, okay, 29 minutes, 29 minutes, 30 minutes. But yeah, the clacks, which I said as much on Twitter. That game came out on everything, like Game Boy, Genesis, PC, all your other stuff surrounding PCs like Commodore and Amiga probably. No one's ever like, let's make a new clacks game. It never caught on like Tetris. However, this one does have the new episode, and it's the one I was supposed to start off with, so we'll get to the Power Team after all. Anyway, the day Johnny stood after school, the Power Team is chasing down Big and his limo, and now the animation itself is on the crack in a bad way. Because there's the shot of Big Cigar, his cigar missile getting blocked by Max Force's weird wire bolo gadget. They collide, the missile explodes on the ground, and Bigfoot's just there. Just like instantaneous. Like explosion and then Bigfoot, boop. Bouncy Tomato Quirk takes out the limo and causes a light cigar grenade to blow up in the Power Team, get back some stolen arcade money. Back at the lair, Spike comes up. He's got a plan to cut off the Power Team at the source and target Johnny while he's at school. You know, we take him down, the Power Team's gonna... So we get, quote, Professor, unquote, Spike pulling the substitute teacher as Rockhead and Big nab the real teacher and drive off. The professor does indeed get Johnny detention, as I mentioned, you know. Like, he's talking to his classmates during class. Johnny is like, you know, this guy looks like, have you heard of this guy before? Like, this substitute teacher's kind of weird. Like, he's telling, his lessons are like, it's all around bank heist and robbery and stuff like that, because that's all I guess Big and his cronies are known for. So yeah, it's like math problems, but it's like, has like the bank heist and stuff like that, like all criminal activity backgrounds. So it's like, this is some kind of weird way to teach math. And Johnny's like, this guy kind of looks and sounds familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And his class dismissed and they're leaving. It's like, I saw you talking to your friend. You got detention. Some other girl named Dee also happens to have a communicator and sees the teacher try to get out of Mr. Big's limo as it's driving off. He's like, help! Like, clearly in danger. Like, didn't we miss a new recruit on the Power Team? We missed a couple things on these episodes. More on that later. Max Force with an ice grenade assisted with Kiros's sword that shoots laser beams stop Big and Joe in the limo. And then they save the teacher and race back to help Johnny escape Spike. After the tune's done, it's a review of Dragon's Lair for the NES. Probably should have just stayed on the arcade. Episode 23, Train Game, has Big bring in two new employees in his gang, Moose and Mouse. Could be original characters. Again, I have played Narc, not to the finish because the final boss is a pain. They help hijack this train headed to Milburg for some video game champions, and then the mystery-solving caper can begin. Yeah, that's what's happening on here. It's like one of those fun murder mysteries, but not without the murder, I guess. The host mentions, one kid's a CIA agent who will have a key to a sleeping compartment with a map inside to show where an enemy submarine will land. The passengers will try to learn who that agent is, get the key and the map, and then find the other kid who's also going to be playing a general that has more information on the enemy sub. It doesn't matter if you got that, because that does not come up at all. The Power Team minus Bigfoot and Ill Johnny, little feeling under the weather, is getting on that train. It's like, hey, we're going to run into the Power Team. Meet up with some celebrities. Which Mr. Big is, of course, counting on. The disguised kids get a clue to send them on one train that gets detached from the other, so they're safe. And even Mr. Big tells them, it's like, don't worry, they'll get dropped off on the other side of town and they can walk home. So yeah, it's just a Power Team with Big and his cronies with those game packs. The heroes get away and the villains give chase until Court goes follow the bouncing tomato. It's Tomato! And takes down the baddies and gets in the main car. It's locked and rigged with explosives to blow once that door is opened. Johnny's sick, but not incapacitated. He's at the controls at the table. He's like, hey, I got the call from Max Force earlier. I'm going to send in Bigfoot to help out. Catches up with the train, and there just so happens to be an open window for Max Force to like jump through and stop the explosive device. It's like, how convenient. Oh. Count Arcadula, the live-action debuting Castlevania Dracula's Curse for the NES, and also the Frankenstein game. That's like Castlevania, but has a different energy to it. He's got these toy fangs with his mouth, so his accent is even harder to deduce. Episode 24 just has it's another just live-action Johnny with reviews of Thunder Force 2 for the Genesis in a cowboy stereotype where some reason that just may predict George W. Bush impressions. That's like, I'm hearing this and that's what he sounds like. He sounds like George W. He's like, yeah, I'm a cowboy, but it's saying it's kind of like Thunder Force 3, the sequel to Thunder Force 2. it's the Genesis. I'm going to say TurboGrafx 16. I'm seeing a lot more of those games throughout. And also Metal Mech for the NES. He's got a RoboCop-esque helmet on, but then the first shot of the game's mech, it's like Master Blaster where the guy can like get out and come back in and do stuff. I didn't see much of the game itself, and I'm not haven't even heard of it until this review. But yeah, he gets in the mech. It's straight up the Ed-209 from RoboCop. So, coincidence? He's also giving shoutouts to the reviews from GamePro, and when he does tips, I don't really cover the tips, because I just want to get into like the historical event of like, oh, this game's coming out, awesome. But yeah, when he does tips, it's Game Players Magazine. So that's kind of cool. Now we go to episode 25, Video Virus. Big and Goons disguised as arcade game repairman, complete with Dig Dug and Defender sound effects. Arcade machines go on the fritz, customers leave, and we see them upset their arcade gaming time was wasted. So Johnny shows up and they're all like, yo, this dumpy guy gave us this game and said that no one could beat it, not even you. So after that, the girl that helped out with the communicator, I'm thinking Johnny Arcade is like the Ferris Bueller of Milberg. Everybody knows this guy and probably knows the Power Force team too. Power Team. Blech. Power Team's got trouble getting a hold of Johnny, who's, my messy room, my room's so messy, I can't find my communicator, where is it? It ends up being, like, in his front drawer this whole time, like, after for so long, but it's like, oh. But the Power Team, at the meantime, has bigger problems with an ambush from Mr. Big. The team escapes, which gives Big the time needed to black out all of Milberg in the night. So, yeah, we're now free to steal whatever. Johnny, already having used the game he was given, crashed his system. He suspects somehow this game is responsible for the blackout. So during that, Mr. Big is like, I'm going to hijack this gold shipment about to be unloaded off a train. And Joe Rockhead turns into a mass murderer by wheeling in some oil drums for Big and Spike to hide in, and he goes all double dragon on their asses. I was hoping it would make the sound effects. I don't know who it would do with the NES. Maybe it did, I just don't remember, but I was just show shocked he's throwing, like, I mean, they get up, they're all groggy, but it has that, like, ocean dub energy of, like, look, I can see their parachutes. Johnny back home, he's like, it's like, let me get in this antivirus and do my thing and fix the console, which magically fixes the blackout, and the Power Team get the gold back. Oh, man. Why is Johnny live action wearing a pharaoh motif in the worst Hindu come again accent for a Game Boy game called Nemesis, which is just a Gradius conversion according to the Gradius fandom wikia? Why is he a pharaoh? Why? He also makes the mistake of saying the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No Taekwondo, and that Baxter Stockman is a Natman for the review of the NES version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. And a little more of Count Arcadula chatting up with the other children, asking in full costume and accent what their favorite games are, and such and so forth and blah. Episode 26, A Man and His Belt. Joe Rockhead spies something in the newspaper that this rich old lady's going to give up a mansion with a legend to it. Like, give it up or loan it for the Bear Scouts. Q disguises. Big decides, I'm going to blast the walls of this place with my cigar bombs, because these walls might have a secret passage or switch. Big's not a thinker, he's a doer. I'm starting to notice that with him. He's just like... So anyway, I just started blasting. That's... You think I'm just... That actually works. Like on a couple of occasions, Spike is like the actual brains of the outfit. Like he's the one who came up with like that's the second time he's come up with like a plan outside of just heisting things. Like Big's good on that. Big knows how to like do like the heist and stuff like that. Usually he's like, when it comes to like stealing stuff, usually he does all like the talk and the planning. Is like make sure Joe Rockhead understands and blah blah blah. He's gotta yell at Joe more often than not to like, get it now, Joe. I get it, boss. But yeah, he's like, these walls might have a secret passage or something, so they tear up the place and tell old lady Wyndham, we're redecorating. Now get out of here. And she's like, oh, you should have gotten your merit badge and manners. Maybe these other guys could help. And another frame teleportation stage right for Kiros. They heard the explosions and spot the limo outside. I'm like, idiots. Oh, and then we get to why the title of the episode. Poor Max Force ends up getting blasted and falling through several floors. Thankfully, a laundry basket breaks his fall, but man. As he's falling down, one of the floors is like dangling parts, and it like catches his little utility belt, and it's... By the time he realizes it's gone, it's like, oh, jeez. He gets all secretive about it, thinking the others, they're just gonna laugh at me for losing it. Need to ask Lady Wyndham, who ends up holding like a in her hands, like, all the treasure she was actually hiding in one of the walls. So he was right, but why was Mr. Big blasting the floor, too? I was like, it's not here, let's poke here. She's like, I'm off to the bank. Does that work? Can you trade in jewels at the bank? You'd probably have to take it to, like, a antique shop or, like, a jeweler or something like that for that sort of thing. Like, the bank doesn't take that. I don't think. Maybe they got somebody inside that specializes back then? So Max is all by himself to find the belt. Or so he thinks. Mr. Big's still there and his cronies waiting for him. Rest of the team once again hear the explosion of Mr. Big's cigar. Again! But they chase off Force and Joe gets the belt. But not for long. Max comes clean after the rescue about him losing the belt. And Tyrone wraps it up nicely saying, we would have understood. Even helped you out. Force is like, I didn't want to look dumb. But I guess the dumb thing was not trusting you guys to help out instead of you thinking you would laugh at me. And Tyrone's like, it's cool to make mistakes as long as you learn from them, my man. Oi, live action Johnny raves out for Road Blasters for the NES. And dials up the honorable one for the TurboGrafx 16 version of Tiger Road, Capcom. Episode 27, Slice and Dice. My god, I got a big paragraph for this one, because it's just... Well, I'll get... Two truck drivers get into a crash on a stormy night. One delivering video games to Millburg, the other one on the other end, I guess coming out of Millburg. I guess they've, it's filled with, like, produce. The produce one slams into a power line and the power goes out over Johnny's house. Max Force is all... This world uses crude above-ground electricity. Soon they'll discover how great cold fusion is. I'm like, huh? Is that a shot? They were firing? Is that a thing? Wikipedia says, no, not really. Like, it was declared to be hogwash in 89 for crying out loud. Maybe Narc is, like, more dystopian than I realize. Again, it's the war on drugs, but I know he's got all the gadgets, but maybe I don't know. I don't know what that version of Narc would be. It would just be, like, Mr. Big walking around. I guess just that version of Mr. Big. He never does he never is in the wheelchair or turned into like the giant floating head or skeleton. The crash sends one of the games from the one truck flying into the produce truck of the other, and because that produce truck is the one that hit the power lines, it's constantly getting... The drivers are okay, but this constant zapping is affecting the cartridge, and it frees two people I covered just last episode. So this is the debut of Rotten Roddy Radish and Patricia Parsnip. Which, as I say that, sounds less like quirk names and more like characters from Princess Tomato and the Salad Kingdom. Roddy and Patricia just start immediately chowing down on the vegetables in the truck saying, yeah, we need power to get back home. They spot Quirk with the rest of the power team Because they're about to investigate what's going on with the electricity and the power's down. It's like, oh, you gotta go investigate. Roddy's all, if we eat him, we can have enough power to get home. We finally get a name for Roddy's laser thingy from Quirk. He calls it a hot Roddy. It's a lightning bolt. He's cast at level 3 D&D wizard magic. Oh, I'm nerding out. But yeah, the vegetables in this game, in this cartoon. Robbie's got some juice to him. He's got some power as well. It hits Tyrone's basketball and it explodes. It was an explosive. It was a bomb. Robbie's hair can also... Is it Robbie? Roddy, sorry. Roddy. His hair does a little spinny thing, miles per hour. He flies down, grabs Tyrone with the hair, and just starts giant spinning him away. Even Iron Sword is no match. It tries to deflect the lightning bolt, but it just heats the sword too hard. It's oh, jeez. Max Force says, maybe some of my ice packs will cool that down for you. This freaks Roddy out. He's oh no! And Patricia's I don't want to be a frozen vegetable. So yeah, the super veggies do have a kryptonite. Quirk's still crushing on Patricia for whatever reason. Maybe she's a celebrity back where they are? Again, original character. He doesn't really say why. Quirk's still crushing on Patricia. The latter of which, with Roddy Radish, take over an entire supermarket for a grand opening, which the Power Team, I guess, is supposed to come in, or they lure him right into the trap. Tyrone loses another big ball to Roddy holding this giant mixer ready to turn Quirk into tomato paste. Patricia gets powers too. She can use her bottom part of their little pink dress and they become these weird tentacle roots that rip up some packaging behind the Power Team as they dodge the onslaught. Roddy munches and munches and gets bigger and bigger and twice his size almost. Still smaller than a rampaging Bigfoot, and the battle turns around for the heroes. Live action with this terrible Irish-ish sounding accent for a review of Super Monaco for the Genesis. It's not just the accent that's bad, but he's see, with line delivery, it's more often not what you say, but how you say it that makes it memorable for good or for ill. And Johnny's just this repetitive roller coaster going up and down and constantly talking like he's got a teleprompter or script for the review. And his horrible Hindu accent again for a Game Boy puzzle game called Harmony that looks like just pushing matching orbs together before they explode. Yeah, we're starting to get into games I haven't even heard of before now. The Mr. Big Trigger happiness causing him and his men more problem than solutions in episode 26 was the power-off, but Johnny live action, clear winner. I feel like I need to take a racial sensitivity class just watching these segments. Back to the crackhead analogy. This is the hiding your nosebleed portion of the side effects so you don't OD on the horrible, horrible cringe of live action Johnny. Which, again, I had to cover more than 1 week of it because of what happened here. Again, not RetroTude's fault. It just is what it is. Plus that stuff's from, posted from, 10 years ago. There's even back then, there would have been a point. It's probably just, old VHS that he just... Because that's what early YouTube was. Trying to get stuff on there. But, yeah. Hide your nosebleed. Oh, man. Hopefully I'm not going to... start hallucinating, and then the origin of the Radish and Patricia. It's oh, what do you mean? There's another line? Oh God, a little more hesitant to start it now. It's just but you got to keep up appearances. You don't want to look like a pussy. That's all right, come on. Yeah. Power on goes to Tyrone. I felt bad. He lost the basketball twice in that one episode. Early in the school episode says, if Biggs did something to my man Johnny, I'ma slam dunk him from half court. He's the one that gets to chase down a fleeing Spike after the jig is up, and literally slam dunk Spike out the roof and gets him wedged on the flagpole. He does make good on his threat later in the Man in His Belt episode. He literally Katamari's Mr. Big and just free throws him into a nearby laundry basket. So yeah, I think Tyrone hanging around with Quirk for that long, he's picked up some stuff. Kind of like turning people into literal basketballs. Again, that happened with Joe Rocket, but Joe Rocket did that himself. That's just his own thing. And the crackheadiest goes to the animation. 2 takes of someone just popping into frame for this series of episodes. Ooh, the commercialiest though. All over the place with this one. The first one I recalled was the I don't want to grow up, don't want to grow up. I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. That's the 90s Toys R Us kid commercial I remember most back then. And the first thing I saw, at the beginning of this, there was still a weird contrast between selling toys and also infomercials, and that kind of like petered out later. But early on, it was the weirdest thing. Like, literally, after a commercial about these Fun with Music by Tomy Toy Instruments, there's a Minnesota School of Bartending commercial. So now I know where all these episodes are being recorded from. Later episodes, like I said, they peter out, so maybe they're all more kid-directed commercials, so maybe there was this time slot change. Because I do remember the season 2 being more like 7, or like closer to 7, 8-ish or something like that, because I would watch it and then like immediately would have to go to school, would have to leave and walk to grade school or whatever. That's that I remember. Kids don't have concept of what bartending even is. This has to be a production error though, with the... I noticed it's lifted from probably TV or VHS because it's got that little VHS squiggle line on the bottom of these. I mean, all of them have it. And I was right about them selling Genesis consoles with Altered Boost that I annotated on last episode. That commercial's still going strong. It's still stuck in my head. Genesis does, Genesis does, Genesis does. It's got more variations of that commercial, including this shot of Malibu for what I can only assume Golden Axe. Fox shows all over the commercial timeline as well. In Living Color, Parker Lewis Can't Lose, Bobby's World, the first Treehouse of Horror for The Simpsons, a Halloween debut for Swamp Thing cartoon. Also, this commercial, it started for a while and then left and then came back. There's this guy with a blonde ponytail and there's with a weird sword. It's like, only one man can save the day, the strongest man. There was a New Adventures of He-Man before the Cartoon Network one. I would never have known if not for this commercial, so it's really fascinating. Also, a lot of the live action stuff for the station. There's commercials for Alf, The Cosby Show. Tycho coming in with a commercial for Congo Bongo and spy tech equipment like binoculars, intruder alert, and a long-range microphone. You know, for kids. And with that, the original plan was to do the 16 to 21, then 22 to 26. And then I think it was like 20. It was going to be like 5, and then there was like 4, because it's going to end at 33. But now after all that, I did 16 to 27. I got to do, finale's coming a bit earlier than expected, because I'll be covering episodes 28 to 33. And whatever comes out, and whatever happens. I won't watch all of season 2. I will take a look at maybe like a couple of episodes to get like the gist of it. Maybe I can put that on at the end as a bonus or something like that, just to, because season 2, like I said, is the game show, and it's no cartoon to speak about. But that will do for RInoa Reviews Video Power. So join me tomorrow for the finale of RInoa Reviews Video Power. Until then, take care! And thanks for watching. And, wait, is my nose okay? Don't do drugs! They were doing that in the 90s, the Dare and stuff like that. I'm surprised I haven't seen any of those commercials.